Hey, General Greene here. It is June 21st, 2024. Let's talk about what's going on in the world today. So basically everything that we thought would happen decades ago is now happening now. And I honestly find it really boring. Like, for example, we predicted hyperinflation. We knew Agenda 2030 was coming. We knew blockchain and Bitcoin was coming. We knew tokenization was coming. We knew we'd be in political chaos and turmoil. We knew that the politicians would get nothing done. It's all fake. We knew we would be at more wars. We knew we'd be at war in Israel. We knew we'd be at war in Ukraine. I talked about it for like 10 years. I predicted, warned, Ukraine would be the proxy war for World War III. It's exactly what it's become. We knew that the BRICS nations would destroy the West. We knew that the petrodollar would be destroyed. We knew that they would move to new digital currencies and that there would be a reset. And now we're living through it now. And honestly, it's super boring. Like, I'm not sure if you guys feel the same way, but it's like super boring. There's really nothing that I see that interests me, politically speaking, or anything going on in the quote unquote media or even alternative media that I find shocking, interesting, new, intellectually stimulating, expansive at all. And there's a couple reasons for it. One is censorship is rampant. So you're basically in silos now across social media platforms. So none of it's real. Anyone that had anything significant to say is pretty much long gone. I mean, either they've been censored or I have friends that just are no longer with us, you know, people that served in the wars, or one of my good buddies who gave me my start with AMTV back in the day, Charlie McGrath of Wide Awake News, died because he was in service in Iraq. And guess what they did to him? They put something in his shoulder, which you can still watch this video, and he had adverse side effects, otherwise known as Gulf War syndrome. So he's dead. And so there's really like nothing new under the sun at all. There was one thing that I saw yesterday that I kind of found interesting, but I already predicted it and already talked about it, so it's nothing new. There was a gentleman, I can't remember his name, he's an African-American guy, very smart, intelligent, and he was doing an interview talking about how the next major false flag Gulf of Tonkin event will be a space war UFO event, and how the government's going to con the American people and global populations into this like UAP conflict, where they're going to sell the idea that human civilization has been seeded by AI, artificial intelligence, and essentially aliens. Again, that's not new either. I already predicted that, talked about it. I even gave you the vision that God gave me, which was of a big giant alien spaceship, alien invasion in 2020. It was a viral video with like 2-3 million views. So even that's not new. Now, my wife always reminds me, she says, you know, Christopher, you have to keep in mind that people are like decades behind you. So when you're bored about something, they're actually just learning about it. But I find that really frustrating, because the fact that not you, but most people are so far behind. I know my audience, everyone tuning in has, you know, been with me for decades, and you're super smart. But because everyone else is decades behind, they always lose, and then they allow the powers that were to destroy their lives, dominate them, and they never get ahead. It's the same thing with Bitcoin. I told all of you to buy Bitcoin under 1,000. Most people didn't. All my members did. They're freaking rich. Now I'm telling you to buy tokenized real estate. It's the future, and my members are doing that. We have a $33.5 million portfolio by itself. Even without tokenization, will be worth hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. Even without tokenization, we don't even have to tokenize. Once we tokenize, our valuation will go into the billions, which talked to my father about that. And it was literally designed for the exact moment in time in history, with all the geopolitical tensions in mind, hyperinflation and dollar collapse in mind, political turmoil in mind, and trends of not just human population growth, blockchain, and the government reset. So all of it, like literally every single thing that I've been working on, every single thing that we've been doing has been predicated years and years and years and years and years and years and years in advance. And it's super annoying that more people don't understand. For example, I just read another report that home prices in the United States broke new all-time records again. Now, there's a little bit more inventory, but because interest rates are so high and nobody can afford anything, they can't afford to sell their home. And so basically prices just keep going up as a result of the bailouts, as a result of the debt, as a result of the very rich people are using it as banks, everything that I told you it was going to happen. So, you know, you hear people say, well, prices are coming down. No, they're not. They're only going up. There was a report today that came out on CNBC. About 30% of all transactions are cash. I would say almost 100% are cash, especially in the category where we're buying. I mean, I would get laughed out of the room if I tried to make an offer with debt on any property that we've acquired above 5 million. You wouldn't even be able to buy. I've had to compete for every single multi-million-dollar home that Island Project members buy, pray to God, and then allow him to actually do the work so we could acquire these fantastic properties. Like, I don't even think that most of you understand that you will never have access to this stuff in your entire life. That BlackRock's going to take over everything, and you will be buying assets from BlackRock, which includes home ownership, which won't be real home ownership in the future. In 10 years from now, everything will be tokenized. You see all these homes here? All of them are owned by private equity. All of them. All of them are owned by hedge funds. These are also like home number 10 and 12 for all these individuals. Most of them are vacant year round, except for like seasonal access. In these homes, all of them, $10 million plus, 20 million, $30 million, okay, in the best locations. So all of this we designed years and years and years ago for this exact moment in time. Everything that we predicted, everything that we knew, all glory to God. I'm not giving myself the credit. He told me. But again, it's so boring to think about that the American people are this stupid, that they're so stupid that they would allow their entire future, all the generations ahead of them, their children to be massacred, that most Americans would comply to fear-mongering and untested crap, that they don't have any backbone at all. They're not smart enough to make money. They don't understand the direction of trends. They don't understand Bitcoin, blockchain, crypto, tokenization. They're still a decade behind the curve. And by the time they come around to it and actually figure out that they were screwed by the elites, once again, it'll be too late. So do any of you, like anyone else out there, feel that way? Because I'm a media guy and I create all kinds of content. I've created, tens of thousands of pieces of content and video and art and interviews and bullhorning in the freaking streets since 2008-09. Designed alternative media television, patented it, trademarked, hard hitting it in your face. Now we're the first in the world, along with our members, to have ever successfully fractionalized and tokenized in our private equity fund, essentially, for freedom. We are the Robin Hoods. We are the anti-BlackRocks and anti-hedge funds. We're the first people in the world that have now given you access to own these homes for just a fraction of the cost, for just $30K minimum. And I want you to think about, it's already been done. We're the first in the world to do this. And then, of course, we're tokenizing. That's all patented. My blockchain technology, which I'm releasing, will make all of our members rich. But even without that, we don't need to do that. You see, we have a no bank debt asset, which means as the banks continue to collapse, like another one went down today, a fintech company lost its customers hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. All my members sit in peace and prosperity and comfort, knowing that they own the best asset in the world. Knowing that they own a physical asset that even during wartime, even during the HIV that was spreading all over the globe, according to them, even though most of you probably believe it's a flat earth, and I don't think we're being told the truth about that as well, but that's another topic. That under any circumstance, even nuclear war, economic collapse, 1929 stock market crash, physical assets will always have an appraised value, will always have physical cash flows, will always have a physical use case, and in the future will be portable in your private wallet, which you will carry around with you worldwide, And I want you to think about this 10 years from now, after BlackRock has bought everything, okay, after the hedge funds own everything, after the government has seized and taken control of every aspect of your life, food, water, air supply, even Amazon has a pharmacy now. Have you noticed that? They're now in pharmaceuticals. So they're in every business. They're in every vertically, horizontally integrated business that you can think of. They've destroyed all competition. There is no competition. All the small, medium-sized businesses were shut down, locked down in 2020. Many people went out of business. Your real wealth is nothing now. Okay, even an average home will cost you $1 million in most cities in America today. The median price is like $430 or something like that. But that basically means you're paying $1 million just for an average home, just for an average piece of just really crap property. Unless you go somewhere like in the boondocks or something, but then of course the appreciation, there won't be any, and you're not going to be in the best locations, and you're not going to have the best performing asset. So in Malibu, for example, $100 million home just sold. Actually $200 million as well. It was $213 million. It's the most expensive home that's ever sold in the history of Malibu. So what is this going to look like in the future? What it's going to look like in the future is very few people will be owners. Very few people will own a part of that. Very few people will have access to the best investments of the world. Very few people will own a full Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is going to trade well above $1 million, $2 to $3 million, in my humble opinion. And most people will be subservient, broke, destitute slaves, living in a Hunger Games that we knew was coming. And of course, we predicted, without access to capital, no businesses, forced onto universal basic income, UBI, in a collapsed country with no freedom, at least not like what it used to have, where the Constitution's been eviscerated, and everyone's going to wonder why. And they're going to say things like, woe is me. Who could have predicted the alien invasion, Christopher? Who could have predicted that Gulf of Tonkin that would set up and stage a space war, even though I told you that years ago? Remember, I did all the specialized reports and even did entire courses on it, on the space wars, EMPs, electromagnetic frequency technologies, all the weapons that they're using now, your cell phone towers, everything's connected biologically, genetically. This is a genetic coercion. That's what everything was in recent years, guys, and they're all connecting you to the grid. Even ancient Sumerian texts will tell you this. Ancient peoples, Native Americans, the Egyptians, many of them believed that civilization was seeded by aliens. Aliens seeded it, essentially impregnated the population, married and merged with it to create a civilization in their image, and then hid the occult truth of your true spiritual power. They hid Jesus Christ. They hid that we're in a spiritual war. They hid angels and demons. They hid really all the ancient knowledge. They hid the secret to your prosperity, your life, and your liberty. And that's exactly where we are today. And, you know, this is the most frustrating thing that I think, at least in my opinion, that I have felt spiritually and emotionally in a long time, because I see people getting massacred and very few people actually acting with conviction on real, true solutions. I'm already a billionaire and I'm not even impressed. I'm not even excited. Like, imagine that for a minute. I want you to imagine you're me. You've gotten everything right. You're a real estate billionaire. You're tokenizing the largest asset class in the world. You're the first person to pull it off, along with your father, your team, and all of your amazing members. Okay, and you sit back already seeing what's going to happen in the next 10 years. It's honestly not even that exciting. It's really easy. It's far too easy, because I've always understood, and all glory to God, I think he gave me this gift, but I always understood that we had power through Christ. I always understood that nothing is real. All of this is an illusion, ladies and gentlemen. It's dust to dust. None of it even matters. Wealth, access to power, dust and rot, and moth, like we read about in the Bible. None of it's real. So if it's not real, if it's easily accessible, if the occult, if these aliens have hidden the spiritual knowledge, they've hidden the truth in occult form, just like it's all hard hitting it in our face all the time. NVIDIA stock, spell it in reverse, AI and then divine, because they're building an AI god. It even has an all-seeing eye, ladies and gentlemen, to represent the Illuminati, the occult, and what they hide from you, the general population. So if it's this easy, if you're smart enough to see what I see, why aren't you in? Why aren't you getting rich? Why haven't you clicked the link below yet at islandproject.com? Why haven't you talked to my father? Why aren't you driving a Lamborghini like I am? How come you're not traveling the entire world debt-free? Why aren't you living your best life? Why haven't you started that business yet? Why don't you have a beautiful marriage? Why aren't you having children? Why aren't you living the best that you possibly could be if none of this is real? If all of it is an illusion, and the only thing that really will stand the test of the time is the nature you see here, okay? Dust to dust. But what has been beautifully and intricately designed by the Lord Jesus Christ, if that's the only thing that's real, and you have internal, spiritual, infinite power through God, which means you can do anything, accomplish anything, simply by the seedling of transitioning your mindset with infinite power. The power of a thought makes money, gets the girl, starts the business, changes the world, changes how people think, can create revolutions, can stop war, can build peace, prosperity, and all these things. And how come the elites and all this discussion of AI and aliens and the hoaxes and the weather modification that now is all in our face as being real, even though we were ridiculed as conspiracy theorists and crackpots for years, and now they just freaking admit it? If all of that is true, and all of that is occurring now, shouldn't you be smarter than what's happening? But more importantly, if you were in the movie The Back to the Future and you already knew what happened in the past, and you could also foretell the future like we can at islandproject.com, then wouldn't you profit from it and try to make the world a better place? Wouldn't you use AI to actually help people and not to destroy them? And that's all the elites are doing. They're using AI to take your jobs. They're going to use AI to make you a slave, to make you the Egyptian slaves that build their new technological tower pyramids, just like the slaves of ancient civilization. That what did they do? They hid the true knowledge. They hid what was occult. They hid the fact that fallen angels had married and wedlocked and seeded humanity. All of this is in the Bible, whether or not it was Adam and Eve in the first, creation of man and woman, because it came from man, and Adam's rib, or anything else. But I'll also warn you too, there's a lot of deception out there. I wouldn't believe what they're telling you, and I wouldn't believe a lot of these, alternative views of the world. No, there's only one truth, but they all come into alignment. It's like witnessing a car crash and everybody has a little bit of a different eyewitness account on the news. It was the car crash that was the truth. And you know what the car crash was? You know what the most influential thing to ever happen in human life, in human civilization, which affects your destiny, your spiritual force, life force, power, ultimately your salvation, and your eternality with the King Jesus Christ? It was him. It was Jesus. It was his birth. It was his execution on the cross. It was his death. It was his resurrection. And it was the salvation that he provided all of us. So my motivation for you is, if you already know what's coming, join us. If you're already aware of what the truth is, join us. If you see what's coming, or maybe you didn't even see what was coming, but now all the things I predicted have come true, and you're wondering, how did this guy know all this stuff? Then join us. If you want a better life, join us. If you want to protect your financial assets out of the banks, join us. If you want to have fun with your life, live your best life, healthy, joyful, spiritual, successful, join us. You're having trouble with money, you don't know how to make it, join us. Roll over your retirement accounts, 401ks, IRAs. Talk to my dad at 808-442-2934. Join us. It's not hard. Everything is possible in this universe. Mostly nobody is trying. Most people mock and laugh while you grow your success, you know, while you're stepping out of the Learjet. And then at the end of it, after all their mocking, cynicism, criticism, being proven wrong over long periods of time, at the end of it, they'll say things, well, you know, it was obvious. It was obvious Bitcoin was going to go to $3 million, Christopher. Oh, it was so obvious that tokenized real estate was the future. It was so obvious that all these things were going to happen. World War III, hyperinflation, the fact that you would never be able to own these homes again. I mean, they've even told you to your freaking face that you will own nothing and you will be happy. Yet still the American people fail to act. They fail to build real world solutions along with us. So as we aggressively expand our portfolio here in Park City, booyah, we just closed $6 million. Maui, Kapalua, Oahu, Waikiki, soon to be international diversification. Again, I encourage you, take action and join the winning team. Don't be left behind. Don't be left behind with what you know is coming. I love you guys, 1000x. We're in high elevation. You can really feel it, especially when you're hiking around here or walking like I am. I think we're at 9,000 feet. Takes a couple days to get acclimated. Again, guys, life is short. You see anyone in these neighborhoods? No, some construction going on, but they're all vacant because they're all owned by private equity, hedge funds, Wall Street, and now my Robinhood badass members, because we broke the freaking matrix, baby. 1000 freaking X to the moon. Taking the view. See y'all soon. Reach out to us and become a beautiful member today. God bless. And you know who the king is? King Jesus. Only kneel for him.